No one's going to wake you up.
Where's 125? 125. Guess 125's not here.
It's not here. They called your number twice, maybe, and then they just move on because there's 1,000 of us today, buddy.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't Canada. There's not some friendly Canadian coming over giving you a kick. Hey, dude, what class are you in? You look like you're napping. Like, that's not happening here. You're in the USA, buddy.
Welcome to the United States, where we just
Welcome
leave you
to
asleep.
the USA.
We
Yeah,
move
like
up a placing.
Oh yeah, look around, man. Yeah,
Looks like I'm doing better tonight.
no, they're just looking at you sleeping, going, maybe I am top 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, ruthless.
That's amazing.
You know,
And accurate.
there's not some guy with the Tim Hortons coffee. Hey, what class are you in? Just double checking.
Yeah, you
That's
gotta get your
not
oil on,
happening.
eh?
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Hey everybody, welcome to It's Just Bodybuilding. I'm Big Ron Partlow. Of course, I've got Dusty, hat barely fits my head, Hanshaw, and the producer, Scott McNally. Remember to like, share, subscribe, comment, and
Ring the bell.
yes. You'd be a very reliable drummer, Dusty. I'm just letting you know. I know you would be there when you were needed.
But only when I'm needed. That's the key. I've heard that.
That's the key. A good drummer knows when to drum and when
Knows
not to
when
drum.
not to drum. Exactly.
Yes.
I don't just ring the bell in the middle of an episode. That's out of control. You
Yeah,
can't
just frantic. Just you're sitting there with a triangle, ding a ling a ling a ling a ling a ling a ling. Just yeah.
Wow.
Can't be doing that.
Ring
Okay,
the bell.
I'm sorry. I had to get on that action.
because of technology, we don't actually need you, but
Yeah.
we keep you around because we like you. Okay, there we go. Remember, IamMutant.com. Go to IamMutant.com. Get your ISO surge. Get your all in, and everybody should get on the gear. How many times we got to say it while testing a Costco card, right, Scott?
That's it. That's all you need. The top 2 things you need for bodybuilding.
Yeah. The top 2 things you need. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What are we starting with today? We got, of course, Dusty 20, Big Ron 20. Save your
Yes.
20% and make us look good to Mutant so that they keep us around. Please use our codes. Please use our codes. Pretty please. Okay. And remember the Think Big Patreon. Keep a producer homed.
Thank you, guys.
Scott does a lot of work here. The Think Big Patreon, that goes to Scott. Helps buy. Didn't you just buy something new? You just bought a new program. You just bought a new piece of tech.
I bought 3 things.
Upgrade the show.
Yeah, I had to buy
See?
a new hard drive, which was a 4 terabyte hard drive, and that thing was like several $100s. I got a new program that it basically helps me behind the scenes with trying to get the show to more people. Kind of like it assists you with AI basically, and then also timestamps are being done by AI now too, which helps get more timestamps, better quality, and they're more SEO friendly. So yeah.
Right. Big help. Yeah. Thanks for everything, Scott. We really appreciate you. Dusty and I know we treat you like shit.
All the time.
We
On
don't
and
give
off
you
the air.
any credit. We completely forget to mention your name half the time.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. No, but we do
you guys are
appreciate
great.
all the stuff you do. Me and Dusty really like working with someone where we just go, hey, what's new? And they go, oh, I've done this upgrade and this upgrade and this upgrade. We're like, this is sweet. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I thought the
Dusty
great
and-
thing was today Scott sent us a message to let us know he's running a few minutes behind. Then literally 5 minutes after we're supposed to be on, he's like, I'm ready. And I'm like, that's not even late according to Ron and I.
Yeah.
That doesn't
we're like
even
just ready.
I wouldn't
Oh,
even
like-
have sent that text. I was like, oh,
Yeah,
you're right on
I
schedule.
wouldn't have even sent that text. Yeah. You know, you're like that good meme, like just leaving the house, and it's the astronaut.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He's like up in his face. I'm just leaving now. It's like,
Yes. Yeah, they say that that when a man says he's 5 minutes from home is the same as a woman saying she'll be ready in 5 minutes. It's the same 5 minutes.
right. It's just flipped. It's on the tail end. It's on the finishing, not the starting. Right. I get it.
Both are liars is the bottom line.
Yeah. Okay. Relationship advice with Dusty.
That's what I
Our
do.
advice is don't take it.
Yes.
That's like just that whole. Anytime a relationship segment comes up with Dusty, I'm like, don't take any of this.
No.
Okay, what's the opening topic, Scott? We had the only 7 exercises you need. Is that what
that's
it is?
Yeah, the only 7 exercises you need. And I think this could be good for just kind of weed out the BS. We'll just get straight to the one arm twisted, seated chest press that Dusty likes.
Seated one arm
that's
hammer
one
incline.
Yeah, that's one.
Can we do the 7 things you never need to do in the gym someday? That would be fun.
Maybe that could be a fun one. That could be.
That could be fun. It could be 17. I could easily extend that.
Oh yeah.
Okay, 7 exercises. If you're only going to do 7 exercises.
Yeah, the only 7 you need, basically, is what it comes down to. Hell, I could think of, man, if you do something for chest compound, legs compound, and back compound, really, I mean, that's just the 3 exercises you need. And I didn't name specific exercises, but like technically you've just about hit everything then, haven't you?
Yeah, I would say I'm going to start with the easiest one. I'm going to put squats in there.
Okay.
I think that the vast majority of people starting out in the gym, especially if even a really advanced person, like if all I could do was squats, I could go back to squats. I'd just squat a certain way. I wouldn't squat the way I used to squat when I used to squat heavy. I might squat with different foot positioning and stuff, fool around with things more. But if you just put a bar on your back and squat, there's just so much you can do with that exercise. It's not just one thing, and I think that I tend to also fall into the trap of thinking of it as one exercise because, I spent the majority of my years putting, 4 or 5 plates on the bar and squatting a certain way. And, but squats, there it is. First one on the list.
Easy.
Covers a lot of ground.
That was easy money right there.
I like that. And it made mine a little tricky, but I'm going to go with it anyways. I was going to use RDLs as my main movement because it covers my ham stretch, which I am obsessive about stretching a hamstring. I see a lot of people that love to curl and this and that, and I don't see a loaded stretch. And I like that because if I throw RDLs in, I'm not putting deadlifts anymore because it's kind of handled. So we're kind of killed both of those things right there. Ron covered the front half of the body, including abs. So I'm covering the back half. All right, we did it in 2.
There you go.
Good work,
Including
guys.
the lower back, erectors all the way to the neck.
Yeah.
Yep.
There you go. Okay.
So that's my
Squats and
second.
RDLs.
Scott.
I'll add a back movement in, and I'm going to say, because there's a couple I really want to add, so this is getting tough. I think each one we add, there's it limits us. You know what I mean? We're getting closer to not having more options. So I'm just going to go with either a pull up or / pull down, depending on what you're capable of doing. I feel like, man, I'd love to see a guy who never did a single pull down, but he got really good at pull ups, just body weight pull ups. I'd love to see what happened. And he's probably not going to be Dusty big. You don't get your back Dusty big, I don't think, with pull ups, just body weight pull ups. But I feel like you could do a lot more than most of us have. It's so much easier to sit down in that machine and hold onto the bar and pull it down,
I've seen some amazing backs on guys that were really great at chin-ups.
I feel like if we went to the jails, we could probably find a bunch of guys.
Some hanging lats.
Yeah.
Actually,
I had a training partner. Wide grip, bodybuilding style chins.
Yeah.
When he did them, his entire back, I remember just watching his back going, there's nothing else this guy needs to do. Every single thing in his back is just
good
going
back workout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just worked for him, the elbows were all the way down and back. The bar was literally under his chin on every rep.
Oof.
Yeah. Minimal bicep engagement, just driving elbows, just excellent at them. And his lats were awesome. And he had thick, striated lats all the way to his hips, and he just looked great.
Yeah, JJ used to make us do 3 sets of 20 every other workout pull-ups.
Okay.
Didn't matter what you were training.
Really?
Even if it was back day, those still happened first.
Yeah. That's
So it
old
was
school.
just one of the deals. So, and it's funny though, because now that I say that, I remember when I was coming up and people oh, can you do a pull-up? I'm like, how many? Because it really was a movement where, and I think a lot of guys get into that habit where they're like, well, I'm too big for pull-ups. I'm like, well, how does that make sense? If you can pull down that 300-pound stack, then why can't you pull up that 250-pound body? That doesn't make sense.
Right.
So I agree, Scott. I think a pull-up is far superior to a pull-down, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I never got good at chin-ups, and it's one of the greatest regrets in my life, fellas.
That and not learning Spanish. That's it.
That and not learning Spanish, yeah. I just never really thought much of it. Like, none of the guys I followed in the 90s really did. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was just so obsessed with Dorian, and he didn't do chins, so I just didn't do chins. But I respect a guy I respect a big dude that can do chins. I'm like, damn, I was never really good at chins. I'd like to go back and do that.
I want to change one thing, and then you can have your next exercise, Ron. But actually, I just want to remove the word dude, because every now and then I'll see a girl grab a chin bar and just start going to town, and I'm like,
oh yeah.
I mean, like, and I understand, like, you're light in comparison, but I'm talking like I've seen women do pull-ups, and it looks like they weigh 5 pounds. Like, I mean, it just, and I'm like, I've never, what is happening right now? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I definitely am with you on that. But you get shocked every now and then, because it's like, did she just do like 15 effortless pull-ups and then just hop down?
I remember something Johnny Jackson said to me once, and afterwards I was like, damn, I wish I would have got better at chins, because I was already like kind of injured on one side and like getting older. But I said to Johnny, because like, Johnny was big on dips, and I really like dips. I used to like dips. I did dips with plates and stuff, and I was good at dips. And I remember we were having a conversation about, I think it was about dips, and I thought they were great for chest and triceps. And I was just saying, like, yeah, you never see a gymnast with crappy triceps, because they're doing all the pommel horse stuff in the dip position, right? And they're doing the ring push-ups and stuff, right? And he goes, yeah. He's like, dips and chins. I mean, if you can't move your body through air, how much of a pussy are you?
It's just air.
That's a great line.
Yeah. You gotta be able to move your body through space. It's just like moving it through the air. How hard is it? It's like Johnny used to do those like chins,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I just thought,
That's
damn, that's such a funny way. That's just such a Johnny way of thinking about it. Like, just moving your body through the air. So easy.
Yeah.
Don't even pay attention to what your body weighs. It's just air.
Yeah.
Not
Forget the Earth's gravity and physics and everything. Just think of it in a term that makes you feel like it should be nothing.
Yeah.
So okay. All
right.
I gotta add one.
Yes.
I'm gonna say incline barbell press.
Oh God, no! Oh, you ended my shoulder, Ron, with the
or
barbell.
Dumbbell press.
Okay, thank you.
You got to do an incline, heavy free
incline
weight
press.
And you know what? There's actually an advantage to dumbbells over this, because if you're only doing 7 exercises, you're also picking the dumbbells up and putting them on your lap, and you're kicking them up. So there's all this like extra core, and athletic handling of heavy dumbbells, which I like. Like, I remember when I was at my strongest, quote unquote, I always felt like such a beast manhandling like 160s, grabbing them, putting them on my knees by myself, kicking them both up by myself. Like, I remember feeling like, yeah, the reps are one thing, but I can also handle these dumbbells.
Yep.
It was a good
dismount is what it's all about. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
Hey, I could even put them back on my knees if you wanted me to be really polite,
Well, that's how you get yourself out of the chair. You drop them on your knees.
They stand you right up. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know how it works.
Yeah, it's laziness 101. That's how I do it.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Now we're in the... I'm glad you went with the incline, because I feel like that kind of helped some front delt action.
Yep, it sure does. Yeah.
And we've got the rear.
That's why I went incline.
I'm in a real predicament now, because we only have 4 movements, and I know that means we're just barely over. That's 4,
we're gonna end up with something that's crappy. You know what I mean?
We need 3 more.
Oh, I think your mic went away, Ron.
Did it?
I like him talking in the hallway. It's fun.
Yeah, we hear you. It's just the wrong. Oh, wait, she's coming back.
Wait, talk.
You got me?
Yeah.
No.
No. Oh.
No, you're a liar. Why'd you do that, Jim?
Yeah, you're not on the mic. Leave us and come back.
It gives me more time to wrestle.
You're just trying to buy
stuff.
time, I think. That's what's going on.
It's not even really off. I'm just doing this to make him leave for a minute. Scott, like we got to figure out. We got
3 more
buys and tries to deal with.
So technically, the bicep is getting hit with the
on both pulls, right? And the RDL technically,
yes. And the tricep is getting hit on Ron's. There you go, Ron. On Ron's
press.
Yeah. So we are hitting bis and tris and shoulders. So technically, you could call it a day here, but we're not gonna.
No, and we got to finish. But I don't want to leave out any friends. I mean, because I would want to. Hell, this is my turn. I can do what I want. That's it.
Yeah.
All right. We're going with and this is gonna bother some people, but I'm going with a Smith machine row, not a barbell row.
Okay.
A Smith row. And the reason I'm choosing that is because if you have any injuries or any issues ever, you're not taken away from this movement necessarily. You can change how you stand relatively easily. You're also I think the nice thing about a Smith is you get to throw away anything other than yanking the weight as hard as you can, which I actually think has great value.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, I think that's an important one. So yeah. And you could change how it hits your back by how far you lean forward. Yeah. Like I like to lean very almost parallel to the ground most of the time, but sometimes I'll come up a little bit. And that would be important if I only had a couple of movements. I don't know if you guys saw, but Tommy actually put up a post the other day talking about the training we did for back when we had like no machines and the advancement we made. And that was one of the few movements that we had. So,
Right.
All right, I'm tossing in because my thighs a little more hit too. You know, I was wrestling between that and dips actually because Ron said it, and I do love dips.
I like that. But we did
right
when I trained with Shelby and we were doing John Meadows programs. We were training at Highland Park Powerhouse. They had the Cybex Smiths, the old school ones that go all the way to the floor. You know what I mean?
I have that.
Yeah,
and
we have one of those.
For a while, John had us doing where we'd start with like, I think we only had like a quarter or 2 quarters on each side. And you just like bend over as far as you can, straight over, parallel to the floor, and off the floor, dead stopping 6 reps. Just boom, drive them really hard. Drive it up hard, try to control the negative down, set it down completely in between each rep. 6 reps, then he would go, then I would go. And then each time we were finished, like he'd go, I'd go, then we'd add a quarter. He'd go, I'd go, we'd add a quarter. Just 6 reps, up like that until we hit like a really hard one for 6. And by the time you got there, it was a John Meadows mountain dog thing. You were smoked. It was, it was maybe like the 3rd exercise in too. So you had already probably done like a Meadows row. You had already done a pull down, like 2 real heavy things, So
we need to do an episode where we talk about our favorite Meadows, not just the movement, but the whole exercise and how it was written.
I like that.
There were some great ones that just like popped in my head during your speaking when I was ignoring what you were saying and just thinking.
just thinking about yourself and your own thing.
Exactly. Selfishly coming up with a new thing that I want to talk about.
Right,
you remind me.
So that's 5. We've done 5?
Oh, yeah. Is it my turn again?
Yeah.
All right.
Did it? Who? What was the last exercise?
I was the last one. Rose. We just went off track.
Yeah, I just told a story
so now
about
it's,
Rose.
Yeah, it's you.
Okay, so we got the rows. We got a lot of back stuff. We still don't have any. We still don't even have any arm stuff.
RDLs.
Yeah.
Incline dumbbell.
Pull up.
Barbell pull ups. And Smith rows.
And the row.
We got 5.
We're good.
Yeah.
We got 2 more.
So are we going to do any arms, guys? Like, are we going to do any arms? Are we going to do any direct shoulder work?
Well, now we can because we've taken out so much. I feel like you need a direct shoulder.
Direct shoulder?
I like a direct shoulder.
I would throw dips in because you're doing tries.
Well, it's not your turn. It's not your turn.
Yeah, you could turn your. Yeah.
I'm going to help myself.
Your mic's not working again.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
I'm going to do, I'm sorry. I'm going to do an overhead press, shoulder press. I don't like it. You could do laterals, Ron, if you don't want to do overhead. It's cool. Yeah. But we're going to hit some direct shoulders because we already had something for chest.
What are we doing? Right. You left it so like barren. What are we doing for overhead press?
I personally prefer dumbbells. With dumbbells, I can get it more neutral. If that bar is in front of me, it always freaking loads that bicep tendon and it screams at me even with light weight. But if it's neutral, I kind of like my dumbbells are where my ears are basically. Mm-hmm. I can go straight overhead with that.
Turn your hands a little bit.
Yes.
Dodge a bit of dodge a lot of problems. Yeah, I agree. Okay,
I'll go with something like that.
I'll work with that.
Yeah. Okay.
And last but not least.
And then I would throw dips in.
Okay.
There we go.
Yeah.
A quick moral of the story for everyone who's wondering: you don't do calves because you either have them or you don't. So don't
didn't
worry
say anything about calves.
I want to just make sure everybody knows that we didn't forget them. We had to think about what would actually help us grow.
Get so strong that when you're backing the bar out of the rack on squats, your calves are growing because they're managing this massive load on your back. And then when you do RDLs and you go down into the stretch position, there's so much torque on the toe of your foot that your calf is just massively activated. Yeah, that's what I like to think.
Yeah. And abs, they're going to take care of themselves, right? With everything we're doing.
Oh, that's true.
All right.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, we covered that. Yeah, I bet if I did nothing but that for a while, I'd look exactly the same.
Yeah.
Oh, I agree.
You know what I mean?
If you think about the one thing that I learned when that time period happened where we weren't allowed to go to gyms, so I went to Muscle Factory before it was loaded, is how much we have awesome equipment that we don't actually need, but I'm glad we have it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's like Scott, you if you go back in your peak when you were healthy and the joints and everything in your bodybuilding days, you could do it in your basement.
Oh yeah, I did. Toward the end there, I did, and it was great, man.
I'm saying your whole career you could have done in your basement. Yeah. It's just that and again, it's not that there's anything wrong with it, but I was glad I learned that because I used to literally have different gyms for different body parts. I would drive to a different gym because I was like, oh, well, it's leg day. I need to drive down here to Gilbert Gold's because they have this or this. And now I look back and I'm like, wow, I wasted a lot of time driving around because it was not necessary.
Yeah, but you're discounting though also like the vibe, and you know what I mean? Like I learned a lot from being in good gyms. I wouldn't trade that.
I love good gyms. You know? I love good gyms. I mean, just having Carolina Iron open here.
Yeah.
We still go to Crunch to tan because it's cheaper than a tanning membership.
Right.
And I actually went there to meet a friend to help her with posing, and walking back through that gym, I was like, how does anyone train here?
I wondered how you did, honestly. I didn't say anything, but...
Well, there's no option. That's the thing. Yeah. It's what happens when you have no option. You're just like, you get it done, and you still do. I mean, I am a firm believer that if you're truly into this, you get it done either way.
Yeah.
But you're fooling yourself if you don't think there's an advantage or that it's easier to get done in the right gym. Like, we walk in now, and I have a loaded gym. I'm like, wow. You know, it's like being pre-spoiled here. But I am going back to Muscle Factory Wednesday. We land at like 4:00, and I will be in the gym at 5.
Nice.
Because I might actually just stay there. I don't know if I'm going to use the Airbnb. Just cuddle up there in a rack.
I gave your hats to Luke.
Perfect. And I guess I should pay.
Hey.
There's that little detail, you know? So, yeah, I'm very excited for that. So I had to throw that announcement that having the gyms, for those of you who train at, West Coast or, here, Carolina Iron now, any of these spots, like, I hope you do kind of take a peek back at normal gyms from time to time. Because I think sometimes when you have something, you get spoiled, you almost forget.
Yeah.
Be reminded.
I remember one time I was training at the gym in Edmonton that I was at for 13 years, basically. And it was called Hardcore Gym when I started there. For most of the time, it was Hardcore. It was a powerhouse for a while. It had a couple different names. But I did most of my national level competing out of that gym, the vast majority of it. And I remember there was one time period where I can't remember what happened. I think like the owner's wife was getting involved in like the business a bit, and it was annoying some of the members, or I can't quite, you know what I mean? He was doing some construction that didn't make sense to us or whatever. And we got a little bit irritated. So we left and we went and trained at this new Gold's that had opened in one of the malls there. And we were training there, and like right off the bat, I was like, oh, this is like different. Like this is, a corporate Gold's, like, you're using all pre-core equipment and everything's brand new and everything. And right away, the manager gave me crap for making too much noise on the leg press. And I was literally not even on a I didn't even get to a work set. And so it was like my breathing was too loud. I was like, my breathing was, I wasn't even making noise. I was like, I'm not making noise. I'm not even on a work set yet. And he was like, oh, it's very like intimidating.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, oh my God. So anyways, I realized I had to deal with this guy. But then the other staff there were like, his name was Rocky. He was useless. And the other staff there were like, just ignore him. We all ignore him. He's a fucking idiot. He's going to be gone soon. So we're like, okay. So the other staff were cool. So I just like ignored him for the most part. And we trained there for a while, and it had a food court right in front of it, which was like the best feature because I would get like a big bowl of teriyaki after I trained every day. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So there was like this kind of fun part about like, God, I was getting my teriyaki and, I had my good workout and I was in the off season and everything. But I only lasted there a few months, and I just had to go back to the other gym because it was the culture and the vibe. I just, new shiny stuff comes. We see it too. We'll see members like a new gym opens, and we see members like they're training at the new gym for a while, but then you start seeing them back at West Coast on weekends, and then they're there on a Tuesday, and then they're back there all the time. And I've been through that myself, and there's something about the vibe, even like hardcore back then, like the equipment was old, and like some of it wasn't like I was fixing stuff myself occasionally. I'd go get a wrench and tighten a bolt, like,
I love that.
So I was a gym owner before I was a gym owner. And so yeah, there's like that little bit, but it especially when contest prep came, I just couldn't stay at that Golds, I just couldn't do it there. Just being surrounded by normies and the crazy ridiculous music they're playing and just the vibe. You take your headphones out and you're like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah.
At
and
our
like
gym,
headphones, they say,
it
doesn't matter. Sorry?
I don't think you would use headphones at our gym. I think he plays your playlist.
Yeah, you might not.
Like, I literally, every time it's playing, I'm like, I think Ron listens to this. I don't know what this is, but I think Ron likes it.
Sounds like a Ron song.
I use headphones at my gym. Even if a good playlist is on, just because I like to be in my bubble.
Yeah,
but then
of course.
sometimes, like the occasional workout, I have them, but they're just hanging around my neck, and I don't bother putting them in. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, it's just funny. Yeah, the vibe is what matters, man. New and shiny is cool, and it catches attention for a while. But people that really need to have like good workouts, it's hard to explain.
I almost like the fact that when a gym, like AJ's gym, the equipment doesn't match. So like,
yeah, I like that.
He gets a great deal on a piece and he puts it in, and I'm like, don't ever like paint all this stuff to match. I don't care. It's awesome. I mean, I think eventually he will get there because I guess. But like in the beginning, I just love that he found another piece. And he's one of those guys, he's like, I just found this piece. Like I'm talking to him about a piece I needed adjusted. He's like, 1 second. And then he like fist pumps in the air and he's like, I got this new piece just now, like on his phone while we're talking.
Right. Like he gets the notification that it's accepted.
Oh, that it's done.
It's accepted. Yeah. That's great. Yeah. I really respect guys. Like I go to certain gyms and the owner has like taken everything apart and powder coated it and then had it all like custom painted and everything. I'm like, oh wow, like your gym looks awesome. I have a lot of respect for that. But to me, I never felt the need to do that because I always thought like Jay Leno has a 400 car collection, right? He's got 400 cars, but they're not all red.
No, yeah.
Right. And I sort of like look at the gym and I'm like, yeah, I like how there's like different colors pop in. And because I remember as a kid, I used to say like when I was really young, like we didn't know brands. We didn't think like, oh, the Body Masters extension. Like we didn't think like
the red one.
I'd be like, yeah, let's use a red extension today because we used a white one last time. That was how we talked.
And if you're really into collecting it, like think about those machines, those old Gym 80 machines that we saw in Germany. Like they had such a unique color, and I would never want to change that color.
They had, or the black with the blue or whatever.
Yeah. It was like kind of like a turquoisey blue.
Yeah, that galaxy stuff too.
Yeah. And then they had the old Nautilus. You wouldn't want to change those,
Could you imagine that? The blue Nautilus, all of a sudden it's like bright red. You're like, oh, what are you,
to match everything
legal?
else.
Is that legal?
It should be.
Yeah. Hey, so I wanted to bring up Dusty's post.
Oh, yeah.
So while Dusty those of you who don't know, I'm just going to change my air conditioning situation here and you guys can, I'll just be right back.
Oh, he was starting to introduce your post.
Like mid thing.
Yeah.
And he's like, the AC needs
those of you know who I'd like to first tell you all about Dusty. So those of you who Excuse
So
me.
I feel like what he's saying is what Dusty will do is just walk away from you at the worst time. I mean, I don't know what he just said. Like,
Yeah. So, well, it was this weekend was USA's, right?
yes.
And that's what sparked your post. Can you give us a gist? It's a long post, so I don't want to read the whole thing.
We won't do the whole thing. Let's let Ron. Maybe Ron.
Oh, let's see what he was actually going to do with it.
Yeah, like let's let him do this. Let's have his moment.
What's up?
You're back. We've done.
I thought
nothing.
you guys were. I thought you introed the post.
You tried to walk away from him. We're like, no. Leave it for him. So you're going to do a brief synopsis because you're not going to read the whole thing. So
okay. So basically, Dusty and I have had we've all had many conversations. And Dusty put up a fantastic post the other day about, this happens a lot with competitors. They wake up. I've had this happen with people at high levels. They wake up the morning of the show. They take their photos. They look at their photos. They go, holy shit, I look incredible. Look how shredded my glutes are. Look how my quads look. And I'm this weight. I'm like 6 pounds heavier than my last show.
Yeah.
And I'm in great condition. This is an awesome look. I'm super excited. Then they go to the show and they get second call out. They don't get first call out. And all of a sudden now they hate how they look.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm flat. I wasn't hard enough. You should have done this. You should have done that. I don't know. This isn't working. I'm super disappointed. What a letdown. All that sort of stuff. And you just really put it together. Like you put up a crazy, freaky picture of yourself and you're like, this was 10th.
Yep.
And this was one of my nastiest looks ever. And I love this look. And you people are so hung up on the result and this thing you've got in your head about what's going to happen. And you're not focusing on what you should be focusing on, which is the bodybuilding.
Yeah.
And the making improvements and the stepping up your game and all this other stuff that you can do in like 10 different ways and then still go and get a placing that you're not happy with. But you're putting every single thing on the placing. And then in a lot of cases, you're blaming the coach for the placing. So
yeah,
did you want to summarize a little bit more, Dusty? What else did you say in there?
your synopsis was great. I mean, but what I broke down also was how long it took me to go from my first pro qualifier to finishing. And you'll laugh around, but I actually had to adjust the post because I kept forgetting. I was like, wait, was there one more fourth? Like I had to go and like literally finally
go back and edit it.
I edited it twice before I had like, okay, this is actually what happened. But it took me 7 pro qualifiers to turn pro. And there was great, other than 2012, all of my looks were phenomenal. 2012, life was a mess. I did terrible. I deserved to do terrible. 10th was amazing. It was just because it was a weaker lineup that I'd faced before. It would have been worse. But what it came down to, I think that it gets missed by so many people. And I was happy that this prep, I actually discussed this with clients beforehand. Had to mute real quick. I sent both of my clients things on Friday and said, this is the best you've ever looked. These are the areas we need to improve. You both know it. So it doesn't matter what happens. Because whether you are coming back for your next pro qualifier or moving on to the pro level, these things that are short are still short. In fact, if you're going on to the pro level, they're even more short than they were if you were just coming back to another national level show. So I just want to put that out there because I think a lot of people missed what's happened. And I mean, I'm not even talking about like Ron and I obviously both had long amateur careers that did very well for us as far as our full career and the fact that we're still here. But I really think people just miss that it's fun. You got better. Pay attention to who's there. I mean, I was thinking about it you don't want to be, when you have a long post, you want to keep it as short as humanly possible while it's already too long to read because people have short attention spans. But when I think back to that show where I got 10th, it was my worst placing ever at that point. 10th place. You know what I remember in hindsight? Number one, I was sliced out of my head. Number two, that's where I met Jose, which is a story I've shared before. And the third thing was we were in Miami. I'm from Scottsdale, Arizona, and I think I had 10 people fly to Miami to watch me compete. I took 10th, and none of them cared. And it wasn't like the fake I don't care. It was like, let's celebrate. You were nasty. We went to the gym. We ate dinner, you know. And I can be honest with you, I remember that weekend more than the weekend I won.
Okay.
It didn't change my life. Ron, I'm sure you have a similar story. Like, you win and you go, huh, cool.
Yeah.
Like,
not much changes, man. Winning a bodybuilding show is sort of not that big of a deal. And I know that sounds funny, but like, and I think that maybe that's because I was not just focused on that. I was focused on my physique and the training and the work and all that stuff. You know, I guess if you were only focused on the show, it would seem like a much bigger deal. But I did 13 pro qualifiers, right? So by the time I turned pro, it was more of a relief. I was like, oh, thank God, got this done.
Yeah, I bet.
Like, it was literally just a relief. And like when my friends come up to me afterwards, I was just like, hey guys, I guess you have to fly all over the country to see me compete anymore. Like, that was literally what I said to them. Like, and they're like, yeah, well, that was a lot of trips. Thanks for finally getting this done. You know what I mean? Like, thank God I got kids now. I can't just be dropping everything to come see you. Like, half of them were just relieved, you know, but you know, how you know, the work you put in, the improvements you make, that's really what you're focused on. And like, I look back on some of the disappointments I had, and some of them I was irrationally disappointed. Like, I wish I could go back and talk to myself. Like, dude, this is no big deal. Like, you just got second again. I know. But like, so what? If you would have won the show, then what? You're going to go get your ass kicked at the New York Pro? Who cares?
Right.
Like,
So kind of what
the
the message that we're sharing now, it's even a message for your younger self, it sounds like. Like, you're not saying you'd never been that guy. You'd been that guy too. Yeah,
I've been that guy a little bit too. Some of the seconds I was in the right frame of mind.
Yeah.
Right. And I look back on, why was I in such a good frame of mind there? There was other things contributing like that. There was a couple of seconds where I vividly remember feeling like I'd literally won the show because I was so proud of how I looked. And like, I remember 2006 when Fuad turned pro. I remember that was the best I had ever looked at that time. So 2006 was a new greatest, like a new level for me. It was, I remember I came out from backstage afterwards, and like, I remember my friends looking like they expected me to be bummed.
Right.
And I remember just being like, man, what an awesome show. Like, I remember just feeling like so proud of how I looked and so happy with how I improved. And then when I look back on the shows that I was like upset about, it's because I think I know I could have been better. Like, damn, you know, I wish I would have maybe made this decision, or I think we should have done a little bit of this. But still, that's, you know, a little bit dwelling in the past too at that point. So yeah, it's very frustrating, especially when you see someone and you think they're like, you know, the morning of the show, they see their pictures and they're like, man, I can't believe how I look. I'm so happy. And then you see them so disappointed about a call out. And it's like, you're now letting something that's out of your control destroy all the stuff that you controlled and were happy about.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, and that's, I think, what you don't want to do in life is just focus on the stuff you can control and don't focus on the stuff that's out of your control.
Well, that was the I think the other thing too, especially in the social media age where everything goes up publicly, you should be mindful and take a second. If you're you know, if you're thinking about throwing a temper tantrum, don't. It never looks good. Do not do the post your post. Who do you guys think looks better? Doesn't matter. But I will say that in 2012 when I got 10th at nationals, prejudging. It was a 2-day show. So prejudging was Thursday or Friday. Finals were Saturday. Saturday morning, I was up doing cardio, thinking about the USA's the following year's July. And I was just doing my thing. Todd, my camera guy, came in and he's like, "Do you mind if we talk?" I was like, "Sure." And he asked me one question and I just started talking, and he just held the camera for like 10 minutes. I didn't even realize that was done. And he posted it without editing it. And all it was me spewing that I needed to be better. And that I felt that I had placed 5th in my first pro qualifier, 10th 2 back-to-back, and I needed to prove to myself that I actually ever belonged in 5th, and it wasn't a fluke. And the funniest thing was, again, from a situation, depending on how you handle it, my fan numbers went through the roof because people were like, "Oh, ownership, real." You know, it wasn't like, "Oh, I look bad." It was, I'm not liking how I think this looks to me. You know what I mean? And I got so much great feedback off of that. And it literally drove me from November 2012 to my best finish ever at that point, which was 3rd, 2013 at the USA's.
Yeah.
And it was like, as soon as I heard my name in that first call out, I was like, there we go. And I think sometimes you need to remember that how you handle a loss, whether you think it was justified or not, can decide what happens next.
Yeah.
You know, so I look at that 12 as a win for what it brought forward.
People remember how you handle losses too.
Oh yeah.
Like they really do. And I also think, like, I actually was reflecting on my relationship with Chris Aceto recently, because, you know, there was just a bunch of shows here in Vancouver and he had a guy in there, Marcello, who won his pro card on the Saturday, and then he did really well in the pro show, the open pro show on the Sunday. And Chris called me and he goes, "He's 218. What do you think about Chicago at 212?" And I went, I'd send him. He looks awesome. And he's like, "Yeah, that's what I just told him, but I don't know if he's in." And then Marcello came up to me and he goes, "Chris wants me to do Chicago." And I said, "You should absolutely do Chicago." And he goes, 212. And I go, "Yeah, just go down." And then I just walked away. And then, like, I forgot about it.
Yeah.
And then a week later, I turn on Instagram and I see Marcello wins 212 going to the Olympia.
Hell yeah.
And then I get a message from Marcello and he's like, "Thank you so much for, like, you know, your kind words at the show and all that sort of stuff." But what it made me think of was my relationship with Chris and why we're friends. And it's the same reason Dusty and Chris are friends. It's because I worked with Chris for 8 shows. They weren't all home runs.
Yeah.
He was working with me, who has, like, far from the best genetics. I definitely have the work ethic, but I'm not awesome bodybuilder. And we're doing the best we can, competing against some guys that are, I mean, I competed against Akeem. Give me a fucking break. And so
did that show too.
yeah. And it was my worst show ever too. And so there weren't all home runs. And I didn't go off on the internet. Chris brought me in flat for prejudging. We corrected at night, but it was too late. I didn't do that to Chris.
Yeah.
I text Chris. I said, "Yeah, call out wasn't good this morning." And then he replied, "What do you think?" And I said, "I don't know. Maybe we should eat up and see how I look tonight." And he goes, "Let's do it with this and this, and let's see how finals goes." And then, you know, I text him after. "I think finals was a better look." And he's like, "Yeah, let's not let your weight go below this for the next show." Right? But there was no, like, going on social and blasting the fuck out of Chris and blaming him for anything.
No.
Like, that's not how this works. And then what do you wind up with 8 shows later? You wind up with a pro card, and you wind up with a relationship with the guy because you're not an irrational head case.
You know, it was a great one for me, Ron, was 2011, which is the show I posted the picture from. I told Chris before that prep, I said, I want to be the most shredded guy in the entire show.
Everyone says that too.
All I want, right?
Right.
And he goes, okay. So I get 10th, and he comes over to the room because it was still a 2-day show. So he comes into my room, and I was just out on the patio because we're in Miami. And he comes out and he goes, "Hey," and I'm like, "What's up?" And he goes, "What'd you think?" And I go, "I was the most shredded guy in the show." And he smiles and he goes, "Yeah, you were." I go, "I lost a little muscle, but it's everything I asked you to do." And you could just see like relief because Chris is very passionate about his athletes.
Yeah.
And I think he was excited because I'm like, I don't give a shit what we placed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if there was a mistake, it was me because I told you this is what I want. And Chris said, "Okay, we will do that." And we did that. And then from then on, we played a little more balance where it's like, okay, with your physique, you got to be in shape, but there's definitely a line where you go up 1% in conditioning and you lose 7% in look. We don't want to do that, you know?
Yeah.
But it was such a learning thing. And to this day, that's why I use that picture yesterday. Still my favorite prep.
Right.
Don't care the
Right.
outcome. It was awesome.
Yeah. I remember North Americans one year I went and Chris came to my room and I remember being super happy. Like I looked great. I was peeled. And I remember my quads, I thought they were the deepest slices I'd ever seen in them. And I remember just being like, well, I don't think I've got the size, like, cause I'd seen a couple guys walking around. And I was like, oh God, some of these dudes look fucking huge. You know, they're like 10 pounds heavier than me and 4 inches shorter.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, this super class looks nasty, but I'm just like peeled. And I looked at my face in the mirror and I was like, okay, I'm like, this is what I wanted, you know?
Yeah.
And Chris came to the room and he's like, you know, what do you think? And I said, well, I'm really happy with this conditioning. You know, like I know I'm not the biggest guy. And he goes, well, let's just see what they do with you, you know?
Yep. Yep.
And we went and I wound up getting that dreaded, like didn't make the top 5. And then those guys leave the stage and then they bring second call out. They bring the second call out and they put me right in the middle. And I got straight first in that call out, which is straight sixes.
Yep.
Right. And so I got 6, but I never got to stand next to anybody in 5th. Right.
I've been there.
And I come off stage and I said to Chris, what do you think? And he's like, well, they didn't give you much of a chance to do anything, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
You killed everyone you stood next to. Like,
can't work,
you know,
work
it is
up
what
any
it
further
is.
than that. You know?
And he goes, what do you want to do? And I said, let's just go have a burger.
Yeah.
So we went to the Hard Rock and I bought Chris a burger and we just sat and had a Hard Rock. And I said, what should I do for finals? And he's like, doesn't really matter. I'm like, yeah. Okay. So like, it was just like, you know, like it's you have to wrap your head around what you're doing here. And yeah, it's just frustrating to see people in such a negative place, and whether it's blaming others or overly blaming themselves too.
Yeah.
When they've actually had a great showing. Like, you looked awesome, man. Like, be happy with how awesome you looked and try to put all of this in context, you know?
Yeah.
So
I agree with all
Is
this.
that enough? Yeah.
I want to add something in. It's just that at the end of the day, you know, I want people to have a good experience. Kind of like what you were saying, Chris wanted for you, Dusty. You know, you wanted you to have a good experience.
Yeah.
And I want, whether it's somebody I'm working with or just somebody who's a listener or just somebody I see on Instagram, I want to see that out of people because, you know, you have a good experience. Then you see what, like, that's the positive side. That's what bodybuilding is really about. Versus if you just get hung up on the placings, which that's, like Ron said, that's one of those things you can't control what other people are going to do, you know, especially in a subjective sport. That's when bodybuilding gets like, it gets left like a bad taste in your mouth. And that's when people stop enjoying it. I love the sport, you know, whether you want to call it a sport or not. And I want to see everybody else continue to love it too, versus love it right up into the point where somebody tells them they weren't the winner, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Great post, Dusty. And I got shared by a lot of people. I posted it and a lot of my clients shared it. So
it was a lot.
I'm hoping it got, how many shares did that get? I mean, I'm sure it got a lot.
I mean, I saw over 50 because they come to me if they're direct follows. So I was like, oh, good.
Yeah. I'm hoping that message got out because I see a lot of great people who just wind up in just such a bad headspace after a placing. And I'd like to see that end, you know?
Yeah.
A lot more smiling, a lot more like, you know, just respect for themselves and everything that it took to get there too would be nice, you know?
Hey, I've got a listener question that's kind of related to this. And I know you wanted to cover this one too, Ron. You mentioned that in a reply. Question for the next podcast. If you were to get second place at a national show and earn a pro card, because some of the shows you can get a pro card in second place, would you still accept the pro card or continue to grow and compete again for a pro card on the win?
I always told myself that I definitely, because they started handing out a second place pro card occasionally.
Yeah.
At Canada's. So there was like a couple times where they gave a pro card to the second place super. The one year I happened to be third. And I always thought, man, I don't want that card. You know, I mean, there is the odd exception. Like they say it matters. It doesn't matter how you get it. It matters what you do with it.
Yeah.
Which, like Brad Rowe would be an example. Brad Rowe, when they started giving second place pro cards, Brad Rowe got one. But then he went on to do the Olympia.
Yeah.
And, did what he could with his pro career, and like all my hats off to Brad. He busted his ass.
You did.
And he made use of that pro card. He did a bunch of shows. He placed well. He was always in shape. Like, I really respect him for that. But at the time, back in the day, I always told myself I definitely didn't want that second place pro card. Mm-hmm. And you want to at least I remember, so here's a story. I guess it was like 2010 or 12. 2012. I got second to Antoine, and it was like my 7th second. Right? And about 3 months after the show, I got a call from who was then president of the Canadian Bodybuilding Federation. And they had come back from a meeting with the IFBB where the IFBB was talking about like a lot more pro cards. And this was, bikini was a thing at this point, right? Everything was kind of starting to be more businessy, and they were talking about giving out more pro cards. And I think this was when they started doing like some second place pro cards at the nationals. They started talking about that for the US, like the US nationals.
Yeah.
And he called me and he said, listen, you've got this crazy streak of seconds and you have a super heavyweight win from 07. We would like to give you a pro card. And there was a short list of a couple guys that had like multiple class wins and stuff that they were calling and saying like, we would like to give you a pro card. And I said, no, thanks.
No kidding.
So I didn't take it.
No kidding.
And it wasn't a hard decision. I was sitting in my car. And
I never knew this.
I just said, no, I'm okay. I think I told Dusty this story.
I never heard this story before.
And I just said, nah, I can't. I got to win it on stage. Like I got to win a pro card on stage. It's just, I can't. You know what I mean?
Damn.
And he was like, oh, okay. And then I know that one of the other guys did take it because he'd won like 3 light heavyweights. And then he also won a Masters division. But they didn't give a pro card for the Masters that year. Like that year, just that year, they didn't give a Masters card.
Yeah.
And it's like, Jesus. So he did take his because he was already kind of going to retire anyways.
Yeah.
And he's a trainer, so it made sense for him,
Yeah.
So I never like begrudged anyone who did that. I had a client who won, I think 3 Masters nationals, but they weren't giving pro cards. And then the year he went to Grandmaster, they started giving pro cards for the Masters. And so they gave him a pro card, and he's like, well, I own a gym and I train people, so I'm going to take that.
Yeah.
So
I think
so. There's a few guys that made sense for, but I actually turned it down.
I think that's the thing you have to ask yourself is, so if I got offered a card early in my career, a second, I would say no, because I never it was not the be all end all. Obviously it's a goal. That's why I was going to the highest level.
Right.
But I understood that those letters weren't going to change my life.
Yeah.
Now, if I was somebody who that was my be all end all goal, and I took second after fighting along for years, then I would probably take it. I think people need to understand that, like Ron was just saying, there's not one answer is not right or wrong. It's what would you do? And I can say for me, because I didn't need it. I mean, my definition of professional is getting paid for what you're doing. And I was getting paid for what I was doing before I had done anything, because I did it on the internet.
Same here.
You know, so for me, the IFBB pro wasn't the part that made me a pro. I already did that. So I would never have accepted it, but I'm a different thing. You know, I do think on that same note, people should go into all of these events with the focus of winning, but it not being the be all end all, because if it is to you, you're never going to love the game. You know, had I not turned pro, it wouldn't have changed the things. I think the only thing that might have been tricky would have been, it might have been harder to quit, because I loved the chase. And once I turned pro, the chase was over. Like, I wasn't dumb. I looked and went, okay, I'm going to do a few of these pro ones for fun.
Yeah.
But I don't think people understand the levels. And it's wild. Like, people go to a regional level show and then they go to a pro qualifier and they're like, holy crap, the difference is huge. The difference between the pro qualifier and the pro level is bigger.
Yeah.
That gap is massively larger. So, you know, I think people need to understand that as well, because that's where a lot of disappointment comes in. But I think you should definitely do what you want. Like, we talked about this coincidentally the other day at the house. Had I ever done a show and no one came but me, so I got an Olympia qualification, because it's the only way I would ever win. If there's two guys, I would have gotten second. But had I won the Olympia qualification, I would have taken it. Like, done. I want a jacket. I don't care. I'm going to go take last place.
Those are cool jackets.
I'm going to get sliced out of my head and say I did the Olympia, and I don't care. You know, because that would have been a different thought process. So I think you need to think in that way for yourself. Like, if you know that getting a pro card is like, holy crap, I can't believe that just happened, take it. It doesn't matter. You know, all that matters is what you think about it. And so if to you it's worth it, grab that thing, spend the $300 for the piece of paper so you can have proof of it for yourself, laminate it and throw it in your wallet. Good to go.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember hanging up the phone and then going into the gym and training. And I remember thinking, I guess it's not, like, I was almost like a bit of peace of mind at that point, because I was like, I guess it's not really about the pro card. Because
wow.
Because you could have just taken one.
I could have just taken one. And I'm here now, I'm just training like a normal day. So I guess this is like, you know, I was at that point in my life too, where I was wondering, like, am I doing this for the wrong reasons? Am I just like chasing this? Because, you know, I'd been second 7 times, I think, at that point. And I'd won my class and not gotten a card. So I remember just thinking, like, but I think I was like, okay, you know, I'm still doing this for the right reasons. Like, I'm still okay. Like, you know what I mean? And that was just kind of a cool moment. Yeah. Never regretted it.
It was a great story, man. That's one of the best stories I've heard you tell. I never heard it. It was a great story.
Yeah. Yeah. Mark was his name, the old president of the Canadian Federation. Yeah.
Dustin, you had some stuff, didn't you?
Just want to throw that in there real quick. You got it anyways.
Yeah, you got it anyway. There you go.
Did exactly what he said he was going to do.
Oh, by the way, too, later. You know what? While Dusty's looking for that round, I got to tell you, we got to get better at asking the audience what they think about stuff. Like when we did the 7 exercises, you know what I should have said? I should have been like, guys, what if we did 8? What exercise did we miss? You know, what would you add to this
calf
list?
Raises.
Yeah, calf raises. Right. So I'll ask them now. What exercises would you guys have added to the 7 exercises only 7 exercises you need? What did we miss?
Okay. Barbell curls. Yeah. Gym bros.
I got some quick ones actually. So these could be fun. Is working in with strangers a thing of the past? Seems like gyms are more and more antisocial. Go.
I can definitely see that. So our gym has a lot more of a community going on because everyone's a regular. Like, the large majority of people are, you know, we have such a high visit rate for our members. So it's a lot more common for like me and Braden to go over to a machine and ask a dude, like, how many more sets on this pec deck do you have? And they're like, well, I got 2, but like, you guys just hop right in. Like, that's a lot more common at my gym. But I can definitely see people not wanting to interact with strangers at all. Then, like, when I go to a commercial gym, like if I'm on the road or something and I have to go train at like a normal gym, I feel like nobody wants to talk to me at all. Like no one wants, they don't want to interact. They don't want to look. They don't want to make eye contact. They don't want anything to do with me whatsoever. So I wouldn't even ask someone to work in.
There's a cute girl who works out at my gym that I'd love to be able to work in with her, but she doesn't ever pay any attention to me when we're both training at the same time.
She always reading books between sets.
She's got her earbuds in and she's like, "What? I'm busy."
Yeah.
Stop hitting on her. That's not the place.
Yeah.
It's not the place.
Yeah, that's
For those who
funny.
are slow on the uptake, he trains at home with his wife.
Yes.
She won't work in with him.
Yeah.
What do you
That's
think?
good. All right, next one. Sorry.
Dusty doesn't give an opinion? No opinion from Dusty?
When you start
Here's
asking the
problem.
questions,
Yeah,
you start
I ask the questions. I don't have to. I just skip right through.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Is that
that's
how
what
we
I
do
do.
it?
That's
Okay.
what I always do.
I like it. There's no reason to stretch this on. All right. Can you explain teams in bodybuilding? Example, a pro can't do a show because a teammate is doing it.
That seems like
Like
a
USA,
joke.
Team USA.
That seems like a joke.
You're doing worlds or something?
Who can't do a show because a teammate is doing it?
What do they mean by teammate? This isn't like IFBB
No,
worlds.
it's a whole like
coach?
no, it's like the coach thing, which I see all the time.
Tell your coach to suck a dick. I'm
Exactly.
doing a show. Are you coaching
Bag
me or
of them.
not?
A bag of them.
A bag
Yeah,
of
bag of dicks.
You work for me.
When's the last time you told somebody to suck a bag of dicks?
Just now.
That's a great Louis C.K. That's just one of Louis C.K.'s
we should
best
bring
lines
that.
ever.
We should bring that back. You know what I mean?
Oh, it just came back.
Yeah, that's just ludicrous. I
Oh,
can't. I unbelievable. I can't imagine telling a client you can't do that show because I've got other clients doing that show, and I don't want you competing against
I
them.
don't want you beating them. No.
So
Your job is to bring everyone in the best.
yeah,
and let the
everyone at the
judges
best,
decide.
whatever shows they want to do. Obviously, you advise people like, "Hey, I want to do this show," and you're like, "Dude, you just did 3 shows in a row. You got to take a break." Like,
Yeah,
there's
but
that.
not
Yeah,
because you're
yeah.
dodging that. That's for their own well-being.
Yeah. But like if someone's like, so I plan my year out and I want to do the Texas Pro and then I want to go to this show, and you go, "Oh, you can't do Texas. I've got Johnny's doing Texas and I can't coach both of you for that."
Yeah.
I think that's funny just because when I was competing, I used to like reach out to friends and be like, "Are you going to do this show?" Because it'd be like, "Are we going to go to dinner afterwards? What are we going to do?" Like,
Right.
like, I mean, guys that were in my class.
Yeah.
Like we
Yeah.
did the USAs, and I'm like, "Hey, I'm going to Pittsburgh. You should come. It'll be fun."
Yeah.
They're like,
Yeah.
"All right, cool."
That makes it
So
more
it's like-
fun, you know?
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
And plus, I mean, it is that I don't understand how that gets missed. And by the way, listen, I respect all of you guys that come up with this team bullshit. It's funny, it's amazing, but there's no team. That's not a thing. Like, if you work with me, I'm on your team.
Yeah.
I tell people
You're
all
the
time,
team.
I'm not into that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, no, I'm your coach. I'm getting you ready, but I'm on your team. I'm also might be on Jeff's team, and your teams might come together, and hopefully we're all going to hang out afterwards. And it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But you know, and I have nothing against it, like, because a lot of people do. They want to be a part of something,
Right.
so they want to wear the jackets, the whole thing, which is fine. I got no problem with that. But just for the record, I'm bringing you all in your best, and I hope that the person that should win does. The end.
Yeah. So
It's-
execute.
You know.
It's such a myopic look too, because like,
Nice
okay,
word.
so Jeff and Jim are doing the show, but you're doing the show. You realize there's going to be like a whole bunch of other people. You know what I mean? There's going to be like a lot of people. Jeff and Jim might like not even make first call out. I remember there was a guy at my gym, and he started telling people, for some reason the guy didn't like me, like he had a chip. And I think it was just like because that's how he drove himself, you know what I mean? And he was like, he wanted to be a better bodybuilder than me. He was like he's like Ron's height, not quite Ron's height, but he's like way taller, right? And he was like talking all this trash behind my back. People were telling me like, oh, he said that, what he thinks is going to happen is that he's going to win heavyweight and then you're going to win light heavyweight, and that he's going to beat you in the overall because he's a bigger guy. That's what he was saying. And then there was times I remember I was in the locker room and I had like a couple of my friends with me after we're training. I'm hitting some poses and stuff. And he was like back in the corner, just like standing there the whole time, just kind of
the
like
coach stance. Nice.
just kind of like checking me out, but like not talking at all. He wouldn't, if I'd look at him, he'd like look away. It was weird. And then the day of the show came and we all had to get lined up. Like they were weighing us in on the stage the morning of the show. And we all had to line up along the wall. And he comes over and he stands next to me. It's the first time he talks to me in like 16 weeks. And he's like, "Hey, what's up, man?" He's like, "Yeah." It's like, "My coach told me not to go to the bathroom." He had to poop. He was like, not to go to the bathroom because if I did, I won't be able to make heavyweight. And I think they're trying to keep him out of light heavy because then he'd have to go up against me. So there was that. But he was like, "Hey, are they going to have us like peel down right there, on stage and step on the scale there to get weighed in?" I was like, "Well, we're all going to be stepping on that stage peeled down pretty shortly anyway, But I could tell it was like a whole different attitude. But the whole thing was he had it, and like he didn't make. I don't remember where he landed, but the way he thought it was going to go. Once you get to the show, especially at the state level, because there's people coming. It's not like a pro show. There's people coming from all over the state that you've never met before, and they're all getting together, and it's going to be some random dude who has crazy genetics, and his buddies told him that he should do a contest 6 weeks ago because he looks pretty good, so he thought he'd try it out. He's going to win the whole thing. Doesn't even know how to pose, So that's, you never know how a state level show is going to go, but yeah, I don't know. That's my spiel.
I love it.
I loved looking back, like some of the North Americans I did. They were really great for me to do because you just run into people. You're like, oh shit. But it's good. It calluses you and it makes you tough and it makes you know, like later in life, to always expect the unexpected and to never think you know what's going on. You don't really know what's going on. Yeah. I had such a good eye too. Like I had to give myself credit. Some people get psyched out by the wrong people, but I always noticed, like I'd see a dude in the hotel and I'd just see his forearms. Yeah. And I'd go, fuck that guy. And then the next day I'd see he won light heavyweight. I'm like, yeah, I knew it. I could tell. Yeah. I could just tell by how that guy looked in his shirt and his forearms and his face that he was deadly. And then who's the guy? Who's the pro? Dusty. He was in that class with you and me and Akeem, and he got second.
Oh, you're talking about Michael Lockett.
Michael Lockett.
Yeah.
I remember I remember going to North Americans one year and I saw Michael Lockett in the hallway.
Yeah.
And we started talking and I'm like, "Oh man, like is this like, how's your year been going?" And I didn't know him, but I knew who he was. He's like, "Yeah, I just dieted for 3 weeks for this because everyone was telling me I got to hop in. So I got on the diet and I'd just been dieting for 3 weeks." And just by him saying that and then knowing who he was, I was like, fuck, this guy's going to kill everybody.
Yeah. That's the guy you got to look out for. Everybody. You can't hang with that. You know what I mean?
And the only guy that beat him was Akeem.
The only guy that beat him was Akeem.
Of course. Yeah. That'd be a great show.
He was peeled
out of his
That
mind.
was the show, which, I hate to bring up the same thing as earlier with the placings. I've talked about this on the show before, but that was the show where I took, I think, fourth, might have been fifth. I'm not sure.
You were first call out.
I was, nice. But so what it was I was pissed though, because after prejudging, I was like, I'm looking at third. It was either third or third and fourth, and I'm like, I'm better than these guys. I don't know what happened. And I was at first like, I'm very honest with myself. So I was like, wow, I'm better than these guys. I should be in third. And then I saw a video and my breathing was terrible on stage.
Yeah.
And then I went, I'm lucky I got fifth.
Wow.
Yeah. So I think you got think those things as well, is my point to that quick ramble. Because, I had my shit together like I was supposed to, I would have been third.
Yeah.
But literally as soon as I saw the video, I was like, very nice of them that they didn't slide a sixth guy out to play with me because I'd have lost to him.
Right. That was the show where I had the disastrous morning and I didn't realize how fast they were going to go.
Oh, God.
And I
was late
almost
too.
completely missed supers. I had no pump up. I wasn't fully glazed. I had girls glazing me while I was walking down the hallway.
Oh, God.
Like I ran and jumped in the line Like I was running down the hall as they were walking to the stage.
Yeah. Oh,
and I was looking at the numbers, and I saw my space, and I squeezed in and went right up the stairs.
Dude,
oh
that's
my
so
God.
great. That's the exact same reason my breathing was so bad, because we didn't stay at the hotel. Oh. We stayed across the river from it, and there was traffic.
Yeah.
So I literally, when we pulled in, I just ran out of the car. I dropped my bag, because at the North Americans, there's like a little backstage area. I walked in, dropped my bag, dropped my pants, took off my shirt, just threw my arms out. And thankfully, I've done a few shows. They started hitting me top to bottom, like 4 girls doing my oil. And then I walked out. I left my bag sitting where they were working and all my clothes on the ground and walked out on stage. I'm like,
yeah. So I didn't have oil on my back.
Oh,
I didn't have oil on some of my body. And I think I got third call out, and I was gutted. So I went backstage, got properly oiled, chilled out, ate some carbs, did some push-ups, pumped up, and went back out for the 35 plus class.
Yeah.
And the guy who got, I believe it was 6th, and the guy who got 3rd in that class, Dusty, were in the 35 plus class. And I beat the guy who got 6th. And I had 2 first place votes.
Oh.
Ahead of the guy who got 3rd.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I wound up 2nd. And I was like, oh, fuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
What a difference in 45 minutes makes.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
That's
that
another
was
reason
so
it's funny when
disappointing.
people do that, when they go, well, I don't know how I beat that guy in one class and I didn't 15 minutes later. I'm like, because the day of a show, things change.
15 minutes later, things look different. Yeah.
That was Nick, who just got his Masters Pro card at Masters Nationals. We did a check-in picture at 9:30 a.m., and we thought he had enough time, and he was like, oh, it's moving fast. He was on stage so he was in his hotel room doing pictures with me at 9:30. Like 9:47, he was on stage. Meaning he had to get downstairs. Yeah, get downstairs, go through the hallway, all that, go down the elevator, wait for the elevator, get his tan on. But he still, did all right. But yeah, we cut that one as close, a little closer than I would like to,
Yeah, let's not do that.
Yeah, no.
Note to new people, don't do that.
Yeah. That's why my clients go, hey, show starts at 10. What time should I show up? I'm like 10.
Yeah.
Like if they're classic, I'm like, be there at 10. If you're bodybuilding, be there at 9. Like,
it's weird because when I looked, like, that was what I did after that show. I was like, the whole reason I'm here is this.
Yeah.
So after that, I'd go backstage and sleep.
Yeah. Good
Yeah.
Just find a spot on the floor,
crash.
put your feet up.
Might be hours. I didn't care. It's like, this is the only reason I'm in Pittsburgh anyways. Didn't come here to hang out at a hotel room. I can do that anywhere.
Am I right,
Nicer
though?
hotels in Scottsdale anyways.
The post prejudging nap is the absolute deepest, best nap in the world. You know what I mean? You wake up after that and you feel like $1,000,000.
Man, I have seen people sleep through their class.
Oh God.
Yep. So I knew a guy who went to nationals, and he went to North Americans.
Yeah.
And he had done the Canadian Nationals, and then he went to North Americans, and he fell asleep on his mat in the corner, and he slept through his class.
He's not even in his room. He was still there.
He was still there. And he was so mad. He said to me, he's like, why would no one wake me up? And I said, this is a jungle, man. No one gives a shit about you, dude.
Yeah.
No one's going to wake you up.
Where's 125? 125. Guess
125's
125's not here.
It's not here. They called your number twice, maybe, and then they just move on because there's 1,000 of us today, buddy.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't Canada. There's not some friendly Canadian coming over giving you a kick. Hey, dude, what class are you in? You look like you're napping. Like, that's not happening here. You're in the USA, buddy.
Welcome to the United States, where we just
Welcome
leave you
to
asleep.
the USA.
We
Yeah,
move
like,
up a placing.
oh yeah, they don't fuck around, man. Yeah,
Looks like I'm doing better tonight.
no, they're just looking at you sleep and going, maybe I am top 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, ruthless.
That's amazing.
You know,
And accurate.
Is that some guy with the Tim Hortons coffee? Hey, what class are you in? Just double checking.
Yeah, you gotta get your oil on, eh?
Yeah.
That was amazing. The delivery.
Yeah. You look like a light heavy, buddy. Yeah. No.
Oh god, that was way too good.
Okay.
Okay. Well,
What else we got?
Bum. I want to make sure. I mean, at this point, I can't even. I want to just end. I mean, Scott ends it with that. That's it. It's over.
Oil on,
Especially the way that Americans pause before the A, like it's a special line. Oh, that's great. Oh man, no. I don't really have any opinion for men regarding not releasing sperm for strength and vitality.
What?
That was a question.
My advice is don't wank right before you train legs. That's usually a bit of a sleeper. Otherwise, knock yourself out. Sorry, was that my out loud voice?
Hey, you got some. Hey, there was a question asked, and the man sent the answer.
I delivered wisdom, whether it was required or not.
I'll be honest; those are the only really good ones I have for. Oh wait, I got one more, and we're finishing on it.
Okay.
This is it. I'm sorry, Ron, but I have to steal your word, and it's not the first one. Fat fuck question: Mount Rushmore of cheat meals. Go. And this is from our buddy Scott Weston.
Oh, nice.
So, when he means Mount Rushmore, like you're doing the like, I'm just trying to think what he means, like your favorites.
Like who? Yeah, who are you putting? Who are you putting the four heads of the mountain? You got to throw them up there.
Oh, I see what you were doing.
Oh, come on.
Well, we got steak and fries with. You got steak
Margarita
and fries. Pizza. Yeah, how are we doing this? Because I could have everything.
Well, that's a one meal. That's the thing. It's a steak, fries, and margarita pizza is one meal.
I got a margarita pizza with a steak and fries. That's one of my cheat meals.
Agreed.
And then I've got a big bowl of pasta and beef with a pint of Ben and Jerry's.
Oh, wow.
Nice follow-up.
I've got an extra large pizza with a bunch of meat on it, followed by a Dairy Milk chocolate bar.
It was very specific. That's good.
Hey, he's done this before.
I know what I like.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not working at first rodeo.
It's his third.
And then I would say, fourth. What else is there? I mean, what else exists?
What else?
Classic. Here's a classic. Big bag of Wendy's.
Just non-specific, just a bag of Wendy's.
Everything else was weighed to the ounce.
Right.
This one is whatever they throw in the bag.
You got a double. You got a double cheeseburger in there, and then you get a spicy chicken, and then you get a fries.
Do you add cheese to the spicy chicken? I do. It needs it.
Oh, you
so
can.
good.
That's an
great.
option, Dusty.
Yeah.
I'm not. That's
Thank you.
It really becomes a spicy chicken parmesan at that point, doesn't it?
That's good.
And a frosty. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Nice.
You do that.
All right.
That's hard.
Sorry, I wasn't going to let you off the hook like that. All right, Scott, come on. You got 4. Mine are easy. So.
I'll add a couple. In here. One is like this is like you are very depleted. We're going to get some carbs in you. You're going to require some insulin with this one. And we're going to have to go back in time too, because it's unfortunate they don't have this anymore at IHOP. The red velvet pancakes with the cream cheese glaze that you put on it. There was a time I went there and I said, "Hey, can I get some extra of that cream cheese glaze?" And they brought out like a second container of it. That thing must have had like 50 grams of sugar, 100 grams of sugar just in that. That's good. You also have to get a plate of eggs because you've got to have a protein source with it too, right? So that's like post legs when you are very, very depleted. You're getting like 300 grams carbs and 200 of those grams are sugar. I'm going to go with McDonald's. We just talked about Dave. I'll do like 2 McDoubles, 2 medium fries, 2 apple pies. And you take the fries and you put them on the burger. Then you take ketchup, put an extra ketchup package in there, smash it all together. You eat 2 of those and you eat the remaining fries, give a few to your dog, and then you eat the 2 apple pies. And those would be cleaner. would be going to, we have a lot of good Middle Eastern restaurants here. And that might be like where you get a grilled meat, like a shish kafka type thing, where you get like the grilled meat on the skewers and you get a big plate of rice with almonds and stuff in it, some hummus, they bring out those little hot breads that they cook, for the table. Those are good. And you eat it all right there. Those are those are three.
Damn.
Those are three good
Damn.
ones.
That's
Yeah.
very specific. He's been waiting for his moment to say this, for sure. All right, so
I had time.
First one, I just go with Ron because everyone knows the margarita pizza, the steak, that's in the fries is a go-to. Second, my truest favorite everyone's seen. It's called White Trash with Money, which is a very high quality steak with 99-cent box of mac and cheese, aka craft dinner. Very key. Third, all you can eat sushi. I actually don't do all you can eat most of the time now. I go to a really awesome place, but be prepared to bring your wallet for that one. That's a $160 meal, but
Whoa.
it's awesome.
Part of the cheating is that you dine and dash.
Yeah, you run like hell. I mean, don't eat too much; it'll slow you down. And fourth is a tough one. This is the problem, Ron. Over time, my fatness of what I enjoy has altered. Where like shitty food, I'm like, it has to still be. So has to be quality for me to really like it. But if my junkiest meal now would be I go white trash with the Burger King. I still love a Whopper with cheese, double Whopper, cheese. Leave everything else on there. Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Honorable mention because I don't have them here. And if I did, it would have been on the list as Raising Cane's. I love Raising Cane's.
Oh yeah,
You never had that.
Oh wow.
What is it?
It's a chicken place.
You ever heard of Zaxby's?
No.
Okay, well, don't ever hear them because they're terrible. Zaxby's is based on a dare. I was bringing it up because they allegedly make chicken fingers that taste like, well, I'm not going to use the word and mess up our algorithm. But, awesome, giant chicken breasts. They come with Texas toast and coleslaw. Ditch the coleslaw, get a second Texas toast. Trust me. Fries, questionable. They're a little weak, I'll be honest. And you're going to need one extra sauce because you got to dip heavy, but you're good to go. And, by the way, you'll love this. They now have iced tea, the rapper, is their official spokesman for their iced tea.
Oh, that's amazing.
I didn't even know
That's
iced
a
tea
thing.
was still around. Yeah.
That's a thing. How could you not? He's running around Scottsdale with his wife and all naked. It's amazing.
We had iced tea. We had iced tea playing at the gym the other day.
Yeah.
And I'd take my headphones out and just listen to some old school iced tea. It was such a good throwback, like the original gangster. Like it was
that's what I was just
before
thinking.
NWA, way before NWA.
No, was he?
Oh
Hey,
yeah,
wait for
NWA
this.
was like 88, 89. They came
Yeah,
out, and
OG.
Iced Tea was like 86,
He came up with the term OG.
OG.
Scott,
Yeah,
I'm
he's
going to need
OG.
you to pull this up real quick because
right.
as would be perfect for an episode, I have a picture that needs to be added real quick.
Is it a picture of you with iced tea?
It's similar if the damn thing would go through. There we go.
All right. We're in the
Look at
wait.
this. Just pause. It's worth the wait, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
And if it's not worth the wait, Scott will go ahead and fix it in post.
And what would you guys add to the cheat meals? What would be your cheat meal that we didn't mention here? Let us know, comment, and tell us what your cheat meal would be.
Yes, exactly. Here it goes. It's finally going. It's taking forever.
All right.
Jeez.
Big files.
There
Big
it
files
goes.
moving.
And it shouldn't be, although I guess it could be because it's a picture.
You're also no longer on Wi-Fi, right? Because you're saving your Wi-Fi for us.
For us. Okay, I might skip it if it doesn't go through soon and just show you because I can do that option. Let's see. Did it go? Did it go?
While we wait, Ron, I'll tell you about this glass bottle. This was a Canadian syrup bottle. And I have since transformed it into, this is like my water bottle now. I fill this up. It's
Like
a
your
liter and a
favorite
half.
water bottle.
Yeah, it's my liter and a half. I just put it in the fridge full. It's nice and cold. And then I, we do the show.
There it is,
It's my
Scott.
water bottle. All right.
Just disappeared.
I got you. Here we go.
Look at this. Look at this, Ron. You're gonna love it.
What are we even looking at here?
Oh my God, that's amazing.
That was inside Raising Cane's.
That's fantastic.
Iced tea for iced tea. That's it, man. That's magical.
That's good.
I can hear his voice. I can hear his voice telling me to try that iced tea.
I walked in, I'm like, is this a thing? That was when we went to get Nova in Texas. And I just looked over and I still didn't get an iced tea, but I was just happy enough to take the photo because I'm like, I can't believe this is real life.
It's good advertising because now you told a bunch of other people about it, you know?
I mean, I took a photo like for this moment, apparently, because I haven't shown anybody else that photo. There it was. I knew I took it for a reason. There we go.
Okay. I'm happy with that.
Hey, shout out to my guy, Jordan, who was at USA's, and he got 7th place in Classic C. It was his first ever national show, and we were really happy with how it turned out. We as a coach, I was happy because he just did his state level show where he won the overall and got best poser award. And we were able to make like a few little tweaks to get him even better for this one. So shout out to him because he did everything perfect. Like did everything right through the whole prep. And he's a young guy too, so he's got a lot of potential. And if you can crack, because the top 8 was the first call out. If you can crack that, that position there, get 7th in your first attempt with a really stacked class of like 16 guys or something, 18 guys, then it's just going to be a matter of time for somebody like that,
Yeah, we had a good USA. Really I had 2 guys for it. Super heavy Antonio, who he didn't make the top 5. He was disappointed at first, but after a minute, realized that was the best he'd ever looked, so that was good. Nice. And then another client of mine, Jeremy, who I've taken the USA's before, he took 4th last year, took 5th this year, and is drastically better. And I was so thankful that I didn't even have to say the words. He was stoked out of his mind, and we have 16 pounds to give for next year, and we're not going back till those are put on him. So it'll be fun, and
that's great. So on that note, dude, Jordan was 20 pounds under, so he's got the room.
There's
too.
The magic. That's what I'm saying. When you see that, it was funny because he sent me the pictures, and I looked, and I was like, all right, you're in the mix already. Like you could have went up a placing or so either way.
Yeah,
16 pounds, you're annihilating this group. So that's exciting stuff to see. I always feel bad if somebody sends you like flawless pictures and everything's went perfectly, and they're like, I got 5th, and you're like, you're in trouble.
Yeah,
we have nowhere to improve. You know what I mean? Like, so it's nice because I told him as soon as he sent me the thing, I go, cool, we're putting 12 pounds in your legs, and he was like, yes. You know what I mean? I'm like, because he's tall.
Yeah,
like, you put that in your, if we put 8-10 pounds in your legs and the rest anywhere else, wherever. Scary. So it was a great run, and I actually forced him to not train until Wednesday. I'm like, okay, stay out of the gym.
Yeah.
Hang out with your girlfriend. That's what you're allowed to do.
Take that break, that well-deserved break.
It's a hard break to take when you're excited. You know that.
Oh, yeah.
I never took it, so I asked people to be smarter than I was.
I know there's I'd say I have like a 90-10 or 80-20 rule. 80% of the advice I give is because I did it and it was great. And then 20% is stuff I completely really should have done that I completely ignored. And I'm really telling you got to do this.
Yeah.
So
I also have like another 20% of things that I didn't figure out when I was at my opportunity to really make the best use out of those things that I can at least tell you like, hey, do this now. I learned it too late, that kind of thing.
I always start my story with why I know the reason. Let me tell you why you shouldn't do this.
Yeah.
And then they go, I can't believe someone did that. And I'm like, that was me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I freak people out sometimes when I say that. I have a habit, my habit of I like to set every story up with the year.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I do that, but I just think that a good story needs context. Right.
Great.
So like if I'm going to tell a story about something dumb I did, and I don't want you to be under the impression it was last year.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is 96, bro. Relax.
Right. This is 96. So in context, I was, I was like, keep in mind, I was really dumb, So that's, I like to preface everything with a year. And sometimes when I go to tell someone a story and I say the year, I could see the short circuit in their head. They're like, I was born in 97, Yeah. So, okay. So that's it, boys. We're going to wrap that one.
That's good.
That's it.
Yeah.
Remember, I'm happy with that one. I had a good time.
Me too.
I have to admit, some of these I don't even remember them. But some of them,
Some of the
I
stuff's just
remember.
garbage. I just try to block it out.
We just cranked this shit out. I don't even know what people. But today I was gonna stick with me. I'm gonna think about this one for the rest of the day.
For the rest of the almost.
Yeah, until I get too busy. Okay, remember, like, share, subscribe, comment, and
Ring the bell.
yes. Loving it. Remember, IamMutant.com. Get your 20% off with Dusty20 and Big Ron 20. And we really appreciate you going to IamMutant.com and using our code, because Mutant loves that the podcast gets they get a kick from the podcast. They love seeing you guys using the codes. Makes me and Dusty look like we're more importanter than we actually are. Very important stuff. And a lot of love for them. So go to IamMutant.com, get your all in, get your ISO surge, get your mind fuck, and everyone should get on the gear. And remember, the producer, Scott McNally, we got that Think Big Patreon. You guys, I know most of you guys are watching some of the other shows on Think Big too. So you're watching a lot of Scott's other great content. So go to the Patreon, support the show. You know, Scott does a lot of work that me and Dusty give him absolutely no credit for. So we like
you guys are great. You got to stop that. You guys are great at giving credit. I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
There you go. There you go. So yeah, we thank you very much. And of course, the last 5 minute crew. We know the vast majority of you have clicked off by now, but the last 5 minute crew hanging into the very end, and we really appreciate that. So thank you very much. And I got to say too, remember, go to westcoastirononline.com, get a West Coast shirt or a West Coast hoodie. I just sent one to Scott Weston. He got one.
Yeah, he loved it.
Yeah, that was awesome. Okay, so thanks everybody. And remember, it's just bodybuilding.
Hey, Dusty, real quick, for the last 5 minute crew, how did you get Harvey's name? Listener wanted to know.
Oh, Suits.
Harvey and Donna.
Harvey and Donna.
What's Harvey and Donna? I don't know.
Suits.
Oh, it's a
movie,
TV show.
The characters, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Suits. Filmed in
Harvey
Toronto,
and Donna,
in New York.
The undying romance through the whole series. Are they going to kiss?
So,
are they not going to kiss?
And if you watch them, it's perfect. You know, Harvey and My Harvey are definitely. He's a closer. He's a closer. It's just what he does. He can't help it.
That'll be something for the last 5 minute people right there.
Yeah, you bet. Okay, thanks, guys.